Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you today? I am having a fantastic day. I am at Eastbay Booksellers in Oakland, California with Joce of squibblesreads. I'm gonna bring her in.
Hi.
Hi. And we are gonna do, this is us trying to do this thing live inside the bookstore. So it's gonna be fun. And I don't edit like Joce does, so it's gonna be completely different. But what Joce is gonna do on my channel for me today is she's gonna recommend a bunch of books to you guys that she has been reading or read or she highly recommends. So we're gonna do that together. Some of them I've read, some of them I have not. And so I'll probably be buying all of them. You know how that is, okay? So, 1 second, let me get Joce and her first book. Okay, Joce, what's our first book we're going to talk about?
Okay, so the first book that I have is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste. This is Celeste's second book. This is her sophomore release. And this book takes place in Shaker Heights. And this is a small town. It's a suburb. And basically it starts off with a family with mom and dad and 4 kids that are all kind of middle school and high school age. And they have a rental property and they're renting it to another woman, and she makes her living as an artist and doing some odd jobs. That woman's daughter gets involved in the family with the 4 kids. And there is also a part of the story that involves the adoption of a Chinese baby into a Caucasian family in the suburbs. And there is some talk about culture. There's obviously talk about motherhood and the relationship between the different females in the story. And it's just really super compelling. Compared to her other book, it's a little bit more propulsive. It has more momentum. So if you enjoyed Everything I Never Told You, a lot of the same themes, but more momentum.
So I just finished this book, and it's going to be in my wrap-up, but I highly recommend it as well. Celeste is phenomenal.
She's so good.
She's
my
so
fave.
good. Okay, next book. Okay, what's next on the list?
Second book is right here. Actually, it's 3 books, but the first book, as I destroy the bookshelves, is Crazy Rich Asians by Kwan. This is a series. It's called the Crazy Rich Asians series. Then we have China Rich Girlfriend, which is the second book. And then the third one that just came out a couple months ago is called Rich People Problems. And this is a series that, so there's a girl named Rachel Chu, and she lives in California, and her boyfriend, Nick Young, is one of the richest people in Singapore, and he's one of the most eligible bachelors in Singapore.
Interesting.
And she does not know this, but then she goes back to visit his family, and then it becomes kind of like a rollicking good time.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just like a really fun contemporary novel. All the characters are East Asian, so there's some people that are Taiwanese, they're from Singapore, there are Chinese people that live in Singapore. It's really cool because you get to learn about the different stereotypes that people from these cultures have about one another that are not typically talked about in books, but it is just like a fun time. So you get to learn about these things, but also it's a lot of fun.
That's fascinating, because I don't think I've thought of a lot of books set in that area that would do that.
No, there aren't.
There
aren't a lot.
Crazy Rich Asians has been on my TBR forever, so I clearly need to pick it up. So there are 3?
And these ones. Yeah, 3.
Oh,
China Rich Girlfriend, Rich People Problems, Crazy Rich Asians.
Awesome. Cool. Next book.
Hi. I'm on the floor. He's on a stool. This is a great situation.
We are close to the ground to talk about
Fever Dream by Samanta Schwblin. So Samanta Schwblin is a Brazilian author, and this book was translated. And it's just a little thing. It's like a novella. But basically, it is just like, it's a trip. This book is a trip. I don't really know how to explain it, but if you see the cover, it's like all the letters are a little bit distorted. There's a horse. It's like peeking out from like its cloud, its little trippy cloud in there. This is basically what this book is about. So
trippy cloud with horse heads.
It's a trippy cloud book. That's literally what it is. So we start off this book, and there's a conversation going on in a hospital between this woman named Amanda, and she is dying, unfortunately, in the hospital. And she's talking to a little boy, and his name is Daniel. And this book is basically their conversation. So it's written kind of like she's talking to him, but there are no quotation marks or anything. So it's kind of like she's telling you a story. Oh. Yeah. So it's about Daniel and then this other little girl. They have a kind of relationship, and then somehow this horse gets involved. It's really weird. And then it just gets weirder from there. There's a lot of talk about like illness and horses and disease, but it's really just kind of like a wacky ride.
But you really enjoyed it.
I did.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
I have been meaning to pick up Fever Dreams forever, but wacky clouds and a horse. What else do you need, guys?
I know.
Okay.
Just prepare yourself. Prepare yourself
It's
going
crazy.
into this one. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, next book.
All
Okay,
right.
guys, we're moving into science fiction.
Moving into science fiction. I know you never see me in here. This is a rare sight for me. But the book that I have for you is The ThreeBody Problem by Cixin Liu, and it is translated by Ken Liu. If you know Ken Liu, he's over here with The Grace of Kings, Wall of Storms, and Paper Menagerie, which is a short story
You
collection.
know how much I love Paper Menagerie, people. It's
Paper
fantastic.
Menagerie. Yeah, it's sad.
It's good.
But, so this is The ThreeBody Problem. This is part of a series, and the other books in the series are really large, but this is the smallest one. This is the first book in the series, and it takes place during the Cultural Revolution in China, which is like a part of my ancestry and something that my ancestors went through too. So this is a book that's like really personal to me. So it starts off, and people are being like they're getting in trouble with the government for having thoughts that go against what the government thinks. And the government during this time is very rigid. They are censoring things in academia and censoring books and things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there are some people in this book that are physicists, and these physicists are trying to discover new things, and we jump forward in time, and these physicists are trying to discover new things. Some aliens come into the story, and there starts to be like a time warp kind of thing involved as well. So it's kind of like a little cross, a little bit, between historical fiction and sci-fi. It's mostly sci-fi, some physics kinds of stuff, but it does take place in China, and Cultural Revolution influences.
Have you read all of them or just the first one?
Just this one, the other ones are too big.
But it stands alone.
Yes.
Okay, you
Yeah.
know I don't recommend
I
much
think you
sci-fi,
can read this
so
one.
I'm excited about this one. This is on my pile to take home with me. So
Yeah,
okay,
it's good.
last book, guys. We're on our way. Okay, guys, we're on to
Hi.
our last two books, right?
I'm taller because I'm on a taller stool. I didn't magically.
She grew. We're
I
on the
grew.
floor
Magic
again,
beans.
but there you go. So, what are we talking about now?
Okay, so this is Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. I'm going to plug myself. I have a book club called Storytime with Squibbles. It's on Goodreads, but this is the first book that I picked for my book club.
I'll
in
link it below so
October.
you guys can join if you want. What do
Thank
they
you.
have to do?
All they have to do is just click on the Goodreads and just click join. There are a few questions just so I can get to know you better. Yeah.
And
then
it just
you're in.
started. Stay With Me is amazing. You guys know I loved it. So it's a great first book. So tell us all about it.
I'm happy it was a great first book, by the way, because if it was not a great first book, I would have been really sad.
It's amazing. Amazing.
Good. Okay, so this is, it was one of the finalists, I think, for,
Yes.
the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. And this talks about a couple in Nigeria named Yejide and Akin. And we learn in the book that it is traditional for some people in marriages in Nigeria to engage in polyamory and polygamy, so the man will take several wives. However, Yejide and Akin have decided that this is not the lifestyle that they want. They want to be monogamous. And in this day and age, that is kind of out of the norm.
Yeah.
So Yejide and Akin are trying to have a child. They would like to get pregnant. However, they're having trouble getting pregnant, so they go through all of these like different things. Like they try kind of things that are not of the norm to try and get pregnant. There is no success. And then one day there is a woman that shows up on the doorstep, and she says that she is another one of his girlfriends or wives. And then she's like, oh my gosh, what? I thought we were monogamous people.
Yeah.
So that basically kicks off the story. It's really cool. There's talk about motherhood. There's a lot of talk about marriage. There's talk about like what is traditional in Nigeria during this time and how they were kind of going against the grain. It's really cool. Yeah, it talks about a lot of things that go into a lot of depth. And this is like a little tiny book, and it involves a lot more depth than you would expect.
And the
in a
writing is
little tiny
phenomenal,
book.
don't you
the writing
think?
is really, really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack, so every like 20 pages when I was getting through this, I found that I needed to kind of break a little bit and kind of see how I was wrapping my mind around it, which is cool. That's what I like. So
What books are all about.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, one more, guys, and
One
then
more.
we're done. Okay, guys, we're on to the last book, which I'm so excited about because it's on my shelf. So Joce is going to get me to read it. So let's tell you about this one.
I am. All right, so this is Everything Belongs to Us by Yoojin Grace Wuertz. And this is kind of a bigger book than Stay With Me. But this takes place in Seoul in the year 1978. And it talks about a group of students that are college-age students, and during this time there is kind of an uprising of women who work in factories, and they are protesting. Yeah, they're protesting factory conditions that are just deplorable. They're not being treated correctly. They are being made to work terrible hours under really bad conditions. So at the very beginning of the book, in the first like 15 to 30 pages, there is a protest that is going on that is being that are all women who work in these factories, and they're protesting these conditions. During these protests, it focuses on a couple of the women that are taking place, and then there is a guy, and he is a student at the University of Seoul, and he tries to get involved in the protest, but not because he wants to protest. It's because he's trying to get accepted into this like prestigious social circle at the university, and his like mentor, or like his big brother, I guess, in the social circle that he's trying to get involved with, dares him to do something, and then he goes and does this thing in the protest. So that's how the book kicks off. It follows a couple of girls, it follows a couple of guys, and all their relationships kind of get entwined together for various reasons, but it does focus a lot on the political climate and all these protests that are going on at this time. Yeah, and it takes place in a college setting, so if you like a college kind of university age and that type of setting, then you will like this.
That sounds fantastic.
So good.
Everything that belongs to you?
Everything belongs to us.
By Yoojin Grace Wuertz. How do you say your last name?
Yoojin Grace Wuertz.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, I want to thank Joce and Eastbay Booksellers for letting us do this in their bookstore. They're in Oakland, California. If you are local, please check them out.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on my channel.
Thank you for having me on your channel.
It's been a really fun day so far.
Yeah.
We still have lunch and more book talk to go.
I'm excited.
So until next time, if you are a return subscriber, as always, thank you so much. If you're new, welcome, and you really got a treat. This is a great one. So until next time, I'll see you.
I'm a treat. Am I the treat?
She's a treat, isn't
Thanks.
she? She's
Thank
fantastic, isn't she? So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Happy reading. Bye.
Bye.